Hello, everyone. This is Jason. Russia reveals Satan II nuclear missile capable of destroying Texas in one blow. This is by Michael Nunez, and it's on Gizmodo. I'm going to leave the link for it. This is good old-fashioned military-industrial propaganda. So let's read, shall we? Russia is flexing its military muscle as tensions with the U.S. simmer in the wake of a heated third presidential debate, where Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton called Republican candidate Donald Trump a puppet for Russian President Vladimir Putin. Now, Russia has declassified the first image of its new thermonuclear intercontinental ballistic missile, the RS-28 Sarmat missile, better known as the Satan II nuclear missile, has finally been revealed after years of being hyped by the Russian government. According to a Russian publication aligned with the Kremlin called Sputnik, the super nuke has a payload capable of destroying an area the size of Texas. Now, notice in the title, it says, Satan II nuclear missile capable of destroying Texas in one blow. That's the title. And what Russia said on their website about it was, has the capability of destroying an area the size of Texas. Now you can say, well, why did they use Texas? Well, because everybody in the world knows how big fucking Texas is, and Texas is a representation of big, massive shit. Okay? And it's a big place, period, geographically. So this military industrial CIA writer, right-winger, whatever the fuck this guy is scaring you to get you to the implication is that Russia actually said that they have a nuclear weapon that could destroy Texas in one blow, when in fact they said that it can destroy an area the size of Texas. One sounds like a threat, and one sounds just like a comparison, like a exaggeration, perhaps even like a, I don't know what you would call it, a stereotype even, maybe, how big Texas is. Really deceptive, but this is typical because we're trying to. The military apparently wants to create Turkey as an enemy, wants Russia as an enemy, and I think this goes back to that Project for New American Century shit. I think it's still this. We're in the same area of the world, and they're 100 years from being done, and I think they want a war with Russia. This is insanity, man. This is nuclear war. God damn. Okay, so let me read on. The new weapon can deploy warheads of 40 megatons, or about 2,000 times as powerful as the bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. This is just to scare the shit out of you. Former Assistant Secretary of the Treasury for Economic Policy, Dr. Paul Craig Roberts. Now, Paul Craig Roberts is a 9/11 truther. This is Gizmodo. I've read article after article making fun of 9/11 truthers on Gizmodo. Yet, for this article, they cite, and the only person they cite in this article at all is Paul Craig Roberts. And by the way, Paul Craig Roberts was an Assistant Secretary of Treasury for Economic Policy. He was not in the Defense Department. I don't know where the fuck his expertise comes other than from him reading the newspaper. So, and he's a hardcore Alex Jones type right-winger who still he keeps the Republicans from the big tent, the GOP, the big tent. He keeps them inside the tent pissing out the 9/11 truther types and the conspiracy theorists who are right-wingers. He keeps them in the tent. Paul Craig Roberts is one of these guys, like Alex Jones is. And this is the guy you cite. I mean, I'm a 9/11. I believe 9/11 was an inside job. We all know I'm a conspiracy theorist, blah, blah, blah. But Paul fucking Craig Roberts to talk about nuclear missiles in Russia, what is this doing really? This is the military-industrial complex that we all know controls basically Alex Jones and basically controls the hardcore right-wing information stream in this country. But let me continue. Former Assistant Secretary, blah, blah, blah. So here's what he called it. Former Assistant Secretary of the Treasury for Economic Policy, Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, called the atomic bombs that Washington dropped on Japan pop guns compared to today's thermonuclear weapons. One Russia SS-18 wipes out 3/4 of New York State for thousands of years, he said in a blog post. 5 or 6 of these Satans, as they're known by the U.S. military, the military has turned them supernatural and calls them Satans. By the way, the United States military spends more than every other nation in the world combined on its military defense. Okay? So we have more nuclear weapons. We have always had more nuclear weapons. We're producing more smaller nukes that are more mobile. That's Obama's big thing, is getting that we're making smaller nuclear weapons now. So they'll be easy to put into, you can put them into a suitcase or you can put them into a telephone. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. And this Gizmodo article is clearly to terrify you. It's to clearly drum up more fear about, so you will succumb to the military-industrial complex to save you. So he says that 5 or 6 of these Satans, as they're known by the U.S. military, Satans, and the East Coast of the by the U.S. military and the East Coast of the United States, that could destroy 5 or 6 of these could destroy the East Coast of the United States. To make it even more frightening, the Satan II is also capable of evading radar defenses and could travel far enough to strike the U.S. East and West Coast. The United States military is the one that you need to worry about, not the Russian goddamn military. But of course, this is the article written by the military to scare you. This is propaganda. The picture of the rocket was published today on a Russian website, along with photos of the rockets. And by the way, this kind of reminds me of Dr. Strangelove, when they say, you had a doomsday device and you didn't give us, you didn't tell anybody? What's the point? Why have a new doomsday device if you're not going to tell anyone you have it? What good does that do anyone? It's not a deterrent unless you tell us that you have it. And that's what they're doing. And if they were trying to keep it secret, they could have easily. But Russia comes out and just says, hey, this is what we have. Because the United States military dwarfs, in comparison, its nuclear submarines alone. How many nuclear submarines, and by the way, Russia has them too. How many nuclear submarines are just traversing the oceans right now waiting for a nuclear war? How many missile silos are littered throughout the world, not just the United States, including my own state, with nuclear weapons? First strike capability nuclear weapons that would eliminate half of Russia. I mean, give me a fucking... Have you seen how big Russia is? Give me a fucking break. This is complete propaganda. And you use Paul Craig Roberts, a 9/11 truther? And I'm, like I said, I'm a 9/11 conspiracy guy. Don't get me wrong. But that I've watched, and this is on Gizmodo. I've watched Gizmodo. I've read dozens of articles on Gizmodo debunking 9/11, calling them fools, supporting the official story. And now you go to him? Does it feel like it's the military right wing to you folks? Does that feel what's going on here? That the right wing military industrial complex, which Alex Jones represents, which he claims not to, but he really does, and that whole group of people, Steve Pachemic and Lindsey Williams to an extent with the gold and silver shilling, and all of these guys are hardcore right wingers, and they're all military industrial complex. And that's what this is. This is Paul Craig Roberts coming out and basically saying, watch out for the great Satan missiles, the Satan nuclear missiles that Russia has aimed at the United States. And the guy, Michael Nunez, even deceives you right off the bat by writing this title, Russia reveals Satan II nuclear missile capability of destroying Texas in one blow. When they did not say, that implies that they are going to destroy, when they said no, it can destroy something the size of Texas. And maybe they should have used the size of Europe. Maybe they should have used something different, the size of Germany, perhaps. But that would have been worse because that's their fucking neighbor. Like, literally. They can see them from their houses. No, but you know what I mean. So you would use something, and let's be honest, your biggest enemy is the goddamn United States. Because Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump both are saber rattling like a motherfucker. You can say that Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin are friends or whatever, and that's the only thing I agree with Donald Trump about, is that we should be talking to Russia and talking to these countries and being diplomatic, because somebody's going to launch a nuclear weapon somewhere, and it's going to fucking kill us all. And they're fucking around with everybody's future. Economic policy, all that shit goes to the side when we're starting talking about nuclear weapons. And now they're trying to re-spark the Cold War, and this is really not... This is just shocking to me. It's 2016. This article is like reading something in 1988. And this guy, Michael Nunez, is the technology editor at Gizmodo. He's the technology. And this is, not only is this a very shallow, extraordinarily shallow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 paragraphs. It's small paragraphs. It's shallow. It's clearly for... And then, of course, at the end, he says, Russia's decisions to suddenly reveal the new missile is especially troubling as tensions between the country and the U.S. are flaring up over hacking allegations and conflict in Syria. While we don't expect an immediate military conflict with our NATO allies, it is certainly upsetting to know that people are actually spending time building such catastrophic weapons. Can you believe that? Let me read that again to you. Russia's decision to suddenly reveal the new missile is especially troubling as tensions between the country and the U.S. are flaring up over hacking allegations and conflicts in Syria. While we don't expect any immediate military conflicts with our NATO allies, It is clearly upsetting to know that people are actually spending time building such catastrophic weapons, like the United States is building. He never says it about his own country. He never says it. He never points out the obvious 6 million pound gorilla standing in the room, sitting on an aircraft carrier. Never fucking points out that the United States military spends more than everybody, has more nuclear weapons and develops more every year than anybody else. Unfucking believable, man. God. And this is Gizmodo. And then they use as their source an economic advisor, former economic advisor to the Bush administration and Reagan administration. That's who they use as their source to scare you, because those Nagasaki and Hiroshima were just pop guns compared to this thing. Get scared, Mr. and Mrs. America. Get terrified. You get ready. You get ready for endless war. If it's not, it's going to be in the Middle East. It's going to be with Russia. It's going to be with whoever, because the military-industrial complex will never go away. And it's really the reason it exists. Say it with me, kids. Capitalism. This isn't for freedom. This isn't for equality. This isn't for land. This isn't for trade routes. This is for none of that. This is because it's fucking profitable to go to war. That's it. That's it. There's plenty of food in the world. There's plenty of air for all of us to breathe. There's plenty of clean water. There's plenty of technologies available. There's plenty of things that we could be doing. And instead, it's continuous warfare. It's my whole channel. It's continuous fucking drum beats of war and saber rattling. And this article just goes to show you how disgusting it is when they go to the millennials, because that's what Gizmodo is for millennials and stupid people. And it's telling them, making them afraid. The United States military calls their Sarmat missile, which was developed in the 70s, by the way. The Sarmat missile is nothing new. It's been developed in the 70s. This is just the second version of it. They call it Satan. Like it's supernatural. Like it is supernatural. And of course, we're on the other side of Satan. So we're God. We're Jesus. We're good. The Navy says it. We're a force for good. The military wants you to believe that it's supernatural. This is a supernatural war. Anytime you go to war with anybody, it's supernatural, because people in this country are dumb and ignorant and been dumbed down in school. To go talk to an 18-year-old. Go have a conversation with an 18-year-old and tell me you don't want to blow your fucking brains out. So my point is, folksies, that this is Cold War propaganda. Don't believe this hype. And they're talking, this is nuclear wartime, because that's what's scared. That's how far you got to go. The war on terror, and now it's nuclear weapons. Oh man, from Russia, of all things. I mean, Jesus Christ. Thank you for listening, and I'll leave the links below.